I'm Kevin Davis, and this is the Catholic Family Podcast. And I'm very, very happy to be joined once again by His Excellency Bishop Charles McGuire, who was on recently to tell his story, a very nice story, which I hope everyone checked out. If you haven't, please go and find that. I'll attach a link to this video so you can go and watch his story to becoming a bishop. And well, speaking of that, news. The bishop himself has some more news and good news. And I was telling His Excellency before the show that after that live stream with Mario Dirksen, which was fantastic. I love Mario and everything he does. It was a little dark, so it's good to get a little good news out on the Catholic Family Podcast. So, Your Excellency, thank you very much for joining. And what are you here to talk about?
Well, the good news is we're going to consecrate a bishop for Africa now, for Nigeria, Father Bead in Kamuke. So that's great news, not only for Africa but for the whole church. So I think it's good to talk about it today and talk about the reasons behind it. You know,
Sure.
Bishop Dolan actually had. He never talked about my consecration, but he talked for years now about consecrating Father in Kamuki.
Oh, interesting.
So
Okay.
this is something he's been planning for quite a few years, and that basically all the clergy that I know um, and have talked with over the years, they've all said the same, that eventually he should be consecrated. So we're going to follow through with the plans that Bishop Dolan had, and yeah.
Well, I know when I heard the news, Your Excellency, which was I guess yesterday, I think, or 2 days ago, maybe now, and it just immediately my immediate thought was that makes sense. So I had two thoughts. I mean, I guess that the first one was that makes sense, and the second one was just being really happy about it because I've done an interview again with Father Bead. He just really amazes me with his zeal and his faith. You know, that the Nigerian faith. I mean, I had an interview with Father Oyeka as well, and it's just beautiful. I love it. There's just something about it that's just so fresh or something. I don't know what the word is, but he really inspired me, Father Bede, and I've had several communications with him, and he's always just incredibly. And I'm sure I know. I think how many missions does he have, Your Excellency, in Nigeria?
Uh, 18. I know.
It's unbelievable, and he still Father in Comic still has time to answer my messages fairly quick. It's just incredible. And he's so nice. He's so responsive. I've really appreciated knowing him from a distance, and so for me, the news was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, he's quite a special priest, and that's part of it. Obviously, he's a worthy candidate for this. As far as spiritually, he's been stable for all the years of his priesthood, seminary, all, and on top of it, he's really shown himself to be, as you said, very zealous. He by himself he was taking care of all of these missions, running a seminary. Um, he would drop things to go clear across Nigeria to baptize somebody or anoint a dying person. He's been extremely zealous and very loyal to his people, and very firm in his faith, and you know. And his convictions. So he's a good candidate for the episcopacy. And but I think it's important, though, especially in our time. I want to explain, I guess, part of why we're doing this consecration, and that is, I I know there's a lot of people out there that think, well, all these crazy trads are at it again, and consecrating all these bishops. Why do we need so many? It might seem like there's been a lot of consecrations lately, and there has. Bishop Fleece, Bishop Selway, myself, Bishop De Silva. Um, but I think what people have to remember is that you're getting this wave of consecrations because in reality, it's the changing of the guard. The other bishops are getting older, slowing down. In our case, Bishop Dolan had died. Bishop Morello in Argentina. He died. So it's really a changing of the guard. And, I think that's important for people to remember. And they had a wave like this back in the 90s. Bishop
Hmm.
Brunis was consecrated, then he turned around and consecrated Bishop Dolan. Um, so I think it's important to keep things in perspective that way. And soon enough, we'll be back to how it was 5 years ago with just a few bishops all over the world to take care of the world. So I think that's important for people to keep in mind.
Well, and it makes sense too geographically. I think, Your Excellency, it just especially now that we've seen. I know Bishop Pibronis has also said publicly that they're also considering a European bishop. Somehow because there's enough priests now and enough faithful, and they're just worried to death about travel and stuff. We saw that with COVID. You know,
Exactly.
it's like, well, you don't know. I mean, what happens if that happens again and you don't have any bishops? What do you do?
That's it. That's another good point. Yes. Um, so yeah, you have to think about that. Obviously, you don't want to go too far and just start consecrating bishops everywhere. But yes, that's a very excellent point. Canada experienced that when
Hmm.
Father Damian Dutertre, he couldn't return because of all of the lockdowns. So that's part of it. As you said, logistics. Um, it's also a safety thing. It's bad enough in Nigeria for the three priests that are over there, Father Ojeka, Father Okerelu, Father Nkamuki. It's dangerous enough that they have to, when they go in public, they actually go incognito because there have been priests that have been kidnapped or killed. And if the Nigerians see a white person, a white man come over, they automatically connect that with, well, money. If
Hmm.
they see a white priest, then they think lots of money. So it's not safe for any of us to go over to Nigeria either. I mean, that's a well-known thing. So I'm not telling anything that people don't know, but that's one of the factors, you know. Uh, and on top of it, I was thinking about um, all the work we've got. Just St. Gertrude's alone, we've got 10, 10 different 11, 12 different places we take care of just here in America, not to mention Argentina, France, Mexico. Uh, then Bishop De Silva has got plenty of places that he takes care of. And throughout Brazil, the Amazon is pretty interesting.
Wow.
Canada, Colombia. So it's stretching us thin too.
Sure.
So just in that alone, we do need the help, especially in the African countries.
Yeah, it makes sense, and I mean, really interesting as you say with the security issues or just the safety issues. It just blew me away with Father and Convocate the interview he did, and it just like his personality too. He's like, no, actually, it's not that bad. I've only been robbed at gunpoint twice. I'm just like, of course, me sitting over here in comfortable Bavaria, never had any bad thing happen to me ever, really, in my life. And he's just kind of nonchalantly, it's not so bad. Wait, what? Are you serious, Father? And but it's an incredible thing, and it's incredible to see what they go through and the dangers they have. But that faith is so great. I love it.
Yeah, it's a simple faith, and
Hmm.
it's simple and deep. It's one,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's funny. There for them, those things are just, well, it's part of their world. They're used to it.
Right.
So, but yeah, so I think basically that's it. But also, I think it's a sign of growth that Father McKenna and I were talking about Bishop De Silva, and the work that he's been doing is really good. He's actually got a lot of contacts with priests in the resistance or
Hmm.
who have left the resistance because he himself was part of the resistance.
Okay.
And now he's, non una cum and all of that. So his contacts with these priests ha, has done a lot of good. He's actually now working, pulled at least two, out of the resistance,
Whoa.
and is now working with them. So we are growing not only in numbers of laity but clergy as well. It's
Wow. Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful thing, of course, and I think that's it's so it's such a nice thing to see, and I think it's tough when people turn it negatively. You know, they say, "Oh, look at all these consecrations and stuff," and I understand. I'm sure we both understand that because of the past and because of certain groups and because of certain consecrations, there are always these people who say, "Okay, what's this about?" And I suppose we could say it's somewhat earned, but I think it's also unfair. I think it's also unfair when you have to look at it as it is now, and I think that's the position in general, isn't it, Your Excellency? I think you look at what the traditional Catholic faith is now, and Sede Cantis. I think it's not the same as it was 20 years ago. I think we've talked about that before in your interview, and I think that there is so much growth that I think we need to even start thinking a little bit differently. Really, just start to think of growing and building and making and creating and all these different things. And so it's great to hear of these expansions in South America and Africa. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, I agree. It's we just have to learn to keep working together. You know,
Right.
we've I think that's important. But yeah, so I guess I've said pretty much all there is to say about the reasons behind it. I mean, sure, as you mentioned before the show, we could go into all sorts of canon law and theology and everything, but that's I don't think it's for this show.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's you don't want to get into the weeds too much. We said we wanted to have a nice, happy show, Father, right? To express
There
the
we
good
go.
news. Start getting into epikeia or supply jurisdiction, and it might get a little bit rough as we go. But maybe next time, Your Excellency. And I've had several people request different topics that they would love to hear you speak about, and we'll have to talk about that off air. And no, I really appreciate you coming on, Your Excellency. And I think it's good. I think it's good to first of all share the news, of course, and to clarify it because I think I really appreciate having the opportunity to do that with you and be able to say, hey, here's how it is. Here's what we mean. Here's the purpose of it. Put it on a 15-minute video, and now everybody knows. And I think that's a very nice thing. And I really appreciate you coming on, Your Excellency, to share that and again to share the good news. And everyone, please pray for Father and Comic. Please pray for Bishop McGuire at St. Gertrude the Great. You can actually I did a little new thing. Let me find this. SGG.org, I believe, Your Excellency, is how people can contact you and find everything that's going on in Cincinnati and I think internationally as well. Is that right? On the website?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And soon enough, we'll be putting up, getting our national newsletter going out monthly.
Oh, great.
So that'll probably go on the website as well.
Perfect.
So
Perfect. Well, go find His Excellency at sgg.org. Find Father Bead, and I know you can also contribute monetarily to SGG and to Father Bead as well. I believe on that website. I know that the money issues are very strange and significant right now in Nigeria, so perhaps that's something that maybe. Did you know, Your Excellency, is that something that they should contact Father Bead first, or is it best just to send money to SGG and you figure it out?
we'll figure it out. If people
Hmm.
donate, then we'll figure it out with Father and Kamuke.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Perfect. Then go over there to sg.org. Your Excellency, thank you very much for coming on. We hope to have you on again, maybe for some more good news or more good topics. We really appreciate you being here and being involved with the podcast. And we will definitely offer our prayers for you, for Father Bede, and for the traditional Catholic Church.
That's all I can ask. Thank
Perfect.
you, and I'll return the prayers.
Thank you, Your Excellency. God bless you.
God bless you.